All right, been a minute, and while I was away, I just feel like I had to talk about this. The New York Knicks traded Cat, I was like, got Cat, and Minnesota Timberwolves got Randle. Like, I know I've been on a bit of hiatus. I didn't know that things were getting crazy out here. Listen, I was like, I know it's been probably maybe like a week or two since that happened or whatever. Like I said, I was in the middle of something. There'll be a video on that soon enough. But at the same time, this is one of those big blockbuster things to where I feel like, oh, this is something where I was like, I'm going to talk about. I really do want to like get into it. So with that being said, let's talk about Divincenzo, Randle going to the Timberwolves, Cat going to the Knicks. And I actually think that it's probably, weirdly enough, a sort of win-win for each team. Like, to be honest, I don't think it's a huge win for each team. And I don't think okay, so it's surprising, first of all. Rumors had already been speculated a couple years ago where they was already talking about like the New York Knicks and a big name might go there and stuff like that, and we just always just wrote it off as like the Knicks, and then they started being good, and we were like, oh, okay, it could really happen. Who could it be? But this is before they really got Brunson. Then they got Brunson. It's like, oh, we got something here. He just a piece, and we realized that he's more than a piece. So who's that person? Who's that going to be the disgruntled star and all that other stuff? But Cat's always been one of those people that everybody sort of hinted at before we knew the emergence of Anthony Edwards. This was really kind of before the even Gobert trade and stuff like that. There's always been like the little whispers or whatever. But now it actually happened. And I'll say, I think it's really surprising. For one, I think that the fact that neither team really went into the seat, like they wanted to see how this year goes. You get what I'm saying? Like the Timberwolves basically almost made it to, almost made it to the finals. And the Knicks basically, due to injuries, but they play their asses off. So it was like basically like, yo, you get OG back, you get Randle back, see how this all goes and stuff like that. So it's like it's surprising that I guess we didn't want to see how things worked out in this first iteration of it. And then I could see like basically maybe not trade deadline, because I feel like that stuff is like, very difficult to always do. We think it's just easier to plug and play in like a player in there, but you sort of really need a little bit of the like how they did it this early, which I was like, you either do it this early or you wait to the end of the season. But I just thought they would wait to the end of the season to see how, everything goes. Now, with that being said, I was like, I guess let's go with the pros of everything. The Knicks, I do think they get always the high ceiling of whatever Karl Anthony Towns can be. He's a shooting big man. I think with this team that was like that really doesn't have any 3-point shooters, especially now that you let Divincenzo go, and they're trying to, I feel like, unclog the paint for Brunson so that when when it's like those late games and stuff like that, that Brunson, while being really good up close, has an even easier bout when the big has to be taken away for Cat. So I think that's a really big boost in that, and that's how I feel like they really want to operate the team. Now, I think another pro of the fact of of doing it this early as well too is that nobody has, outside of Brunson and really Hart, nobody really has like a defined role of like the top players. I was like, OG, he sort of had a role that basically gonna be like what it was last year, but I do think at the same time, now his stuff will increase. Like he's going to probably get more looks to shoot and stuff like that. He showed, I was like, he got a little bit more chances to create and whatnot. Whereas like mikalbridges, I was like, he was going to see how that was with Randle. But I was like, with Karl Anthony Towns, to be honest, I know you got Cat, but I really want to say Mikal's really number 2 just because he can get his own shot. He gets his own shot in a way that Cat can't do. Cat can't get his own shot like that. I was like, every now and then he's able to, but I was like, the way sometimes he turned the ball over and stuff like that. But I was like, I think while it's going to be a minute, you want to just get all this out the way and see how it all plays out with everybody's roles. Then say it happened next year and everybody's going to be looking like, great, now we got to try to find a way for this upper level talent I was like, I don't want to say star. Like, we know who Cat is, but I was like, I don't want to put that necessarily on him and try to fit him in again when he's already with Minnesota, he was number 2, basically. But pros also for the Minnesota Timberwolves side. I do think that Randle is a better shot creator than Karl Anthony Towns. He doesn't shoot to me at the same efficiency that Cat does. I was like, he's more of a volume shooter in that case. But I do think that also too that I was like, I've seen people say it's sort of a negative, but I don't think it's really. I think it would have maybe probably been necessarily with the Knicks, but I think with the Timberwolves, him being like a point forward in a way and stuff like that, I think that really helps out the Timberwolves more so than it would the Knicks, because I was like, they don't really have any ball handlers. You think about it, I was like, it's Edwards, Conley. That's really about it. So I do think, and I was like, and Karl, Anderson is gone too. So, and where he was basically a point forward. So it's like you get Randle there who can do all that. He could dish it out. He can move the ball. I think he could relieve some of the pressure that Anthony Edwards had of being of having the ball constantly and having to make a play. Randle to me is more able to be a playmaker than Cat was. I also think that it will look different defensively. I don't think it's going. And this is where it's just not negative. It's really just more observation of the fact that they're still switchable. They still got switchable people with Randle, Jaden Daniels, Edwards, all them dudes. Nas Reed basically is going to be there. I was like, you still got switchable people. You just don't have the 7 foot that was, and I think that's where the defense is going to look different. That's where it's going to be a little different, because I was like, I think you get a little bit more athleticism with Randle, whereas you don't get the height that's needed because at the end of the day, 7 feet is 7 feet, and that's why sometimes we get mad at Karl. Negatives, I guess, is really, to me, for the Knicks, is the fact that your best shooter now is Karl Anthony Towns, and you don't know where that pendulum sometimes goes. Because sometimes it is where it's like, damn, he's shooting lights out. You can't do nothing to stop him. He's hot. Your big man at the 5 is over here shooting or whatever. At the same time, we seen in the playoffs, when he don't have it going, what else is he really doing for you? I also think it's weird. Going back to what weird was of just Cat and Thibodeau, because it didn't seem like that really meshed that well in Minnesota. So, I mean, yes, on one hand, the guy knows his strengths and weaknesses, and I was like, Karl has gotten better since then. I think he's still as turnover prone and stupid foul prone. I was like, he still does that. He did improve, and we seen a little bit in the playoffs where sometimes it's like he was able to be like, just chill, calm down, we got this. But at the same time, the defensive team that they are, and he's basically your 5. There's a reason why Minnesota took him away from being your 5. It's basically he's not really able to be that. Yes, he's 7. He's 7 feet, and him next to Rudy does work. I'm not over here saying, and also with Randle, but that they over here some defensive people where it's just they're gonna stop people. But I'm just saying, where you are slow-footed here, the fact that you got that reach is able to help a little bit or whatever. But I think Karl has improved. But just for him to be at your center, where it's of your defense and anchoring your defense, I was like, there's a reason why they went and basically got Rudy Gobert also at the same time, other than trying to stop Jokic and stuff. But also I think, and I was like, I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to necessarily be a negative. But I was like, it's just to me that I was like, his shooting isn't the same way as Divincenzo's shooting, where it's the catch and shoot and stuff like that. To me, I was like, I just don't know. I just don't really see in how often in rhythm that Karl Anthony Towns is able to do that. Because the idea to me, what the Knicks are really doing is really trying to match up with the Celtics. And Porzingis to me is a guy that can also catch and shoot while also setting himself up also for the 3. Whereas Karl Anthony Towns to me, I was like, it's not necessarily sometimes. I was like, sometimes he's doing the catch and shoot, but a lot of times it's really just he just shooting. I was like, to me, those are really different of the play of setting up to where it's pass the ball to him, he's ready, lock and loaded, and him having the ball and just being I'm already going to shoot it. I was like, we're not doing this play thing. I'm shooting it because I'm the best shooting big man. I hope that sort of makes sense, I guess, in sort of your head. But also, this thing with Karl Anthony Towns is always an enigma. I feel like it's a Schrodinger's cat. You know, you don't know what kind of cat, no pun intended, you gonna get from him. And I think that's where, like I think that's where it's gonna be tricky with this grouping. Also, I think that the Divincenzo loss is going to be felt in a way that was different than the Randle loss. I was like, Cat and Randle, I feel like to an extent those two can sort of like negate each other of being like similar-ish players. Because the thing is that Randle, we sort of already sort of just be like, he's here. Cat, potential, well, we always thought of or want from him is here, but it's somewhere just here as well with Randle. So I'm like, why not? You basically got a volume shooter on both sides or whatever like that. One is just hella taller than the other one. But I was like, I actually sort of sometimes prefer Randle, even though Randle I know can also be moody with how he is and if he's not getting the ball. And that's why I think it's going to be good for Minnesota, because I was like, with the Knicks, with the group that they had, if you would have kept Divincenzo, you would have had a bunch of people who basically was like, yo, I need the ball right here, when he's like a ball stopper and not in the, like, necessarily. I was like, I don't want to say that in a bad way, but he's a ball stopper and he just sort of like stifles your offense a bit because he got to get his own shot. But so does Jalenbrunson. But the problem is, Brunson's the guy. Brunson's the man. So we're going to go through him, and it's like, I don't know if Randle would have been able to take that version of being number two. Even though I was like, I know they got a chance to play together and stuff like that we didn't really get to fully see the capability of it, of Brunson being here, and also getting Randle, who's been all-star in the last couple years as well. I was like, negatives I said for Minnesota, I said the defense, because I was like, I do think that while I was like, they'll still be able to switch, and I was like, I do think Randle's a lot more athletic than Cat, is the fact that you had Daniels, Cat, Gobert, or Nas Reed somewhere in that form, and they're all like 6'10" or higher. And I was like, Randle is like 6'9", but I was like, he ain't got the same length like they do, where it's just like they just create wall of just like arms in your face. I think that's about. I do think that I was like, while you did get this with Cat, the streakiness of his shooting and whatnot, and I think also of knowing when to flow. I would like the flow of the offense. Sometimes with that as well too, where it's like, yeah, we just gonna run it through Ant. You just gonna have to wait your turn. Where he's been a lot more prone to just be like, I'm gonna do my show. And also when things don't start going his way, or he having a shooting night, I was like, how did he get in that situation? But why I don't think it's gonna be as bad, because I was like, New York is a different animal. That when you the guy there and you act like that, you're going to look a certain type of way than when you get to be on Minnesota, who, while they'll be on more TV spots, it's not the same type of pressure. You don't have the same type of groaning from the audience and whatnot. But no, I was like, I think this is a trade that will probably work out for each team, to be honest. I was like, the big thing really, I feel like, is while, yes, you're getting off Cat's money, because he had a lot more money than what Randle is, and you get to see what Randle is going to be, I really think it's really also, I was like, and this might be why they didn't try to see how this goes in a third year of the Gobert and trio thing. It's just because you probably just like assume like this is what kind of Cat we're going to get. This is how he is, and we don't know if we can have him tied when we already got Ant, who still is on the rookie deal. I was like, we know he's going to get the money. But I was like, no, wait, no. I don't think he signed it yet. I don't think he signed it. Because I was like, LaMelo and him came out the same year. Did he already get his money? Either way, look, we already got Ant. We already got the main guy. You haven't really, you've been up and down in your second, being the second guy. Might as well just try to put a whole different team around him and see how that goes. Then with the Knicks, who are basically like, hey, let's get all the talent we can. he's probably the most talented player that you're really kind of going to get. I was like, as much as Cat get on my nerves sometimes with what he does, you can't deny with a reason that he's going to probably get other people fired and play. I was like, not getting people fired, but basically, like him and Wiggins, all this untapped potential or whatever, and then just, you know what Cat really is? Cat, to me, I was like, man, that might be blasphemy. But Cat is maybe like the great Saiyaman. I was like, you know how Gohan was like, oh man, look at this kid right here, got all this budding potential, and then boom, we see it. His man goes Super Saiyan 2, and then we're just like, he was really good, but he just over here just getting his ass beat sometimes. Sometimes he over here, he might work, but then sometimes he gets his ass beat. I don't know, maybe that's the best way I say it. Yeah, no, I didn't expect nothing like this trade to happen. At least right now. But at the same time, like I said, the Knicks, I think they're really trying to boast themselves into the Celtics of sense, because they're like, we got our main star, and he showed he could be a star. And I was like, mikalbridges basically is going to be the second one or whatever. I was like, Tatum and Brown, however you want to see it. And then we got a 5 who could shoot just in the same way. I was like, I don't know how they're going. I was like, I guess right now they're going to. I was like, to me, I would have thought that Anunoby would have probably been. To me, I was like, the lineup I thought that they were going to have would have Anunoby at 4. And they still might have him at 4 and Cat at 5 until Mitchell Robinson, whenever he comes back. Because they really don't have a center. So that's like also made this trade also. Like, yes, it worked, but there's a little bit of need at the same time. I was like, this is one of them things that if they go to the finals or is able to challenge the Celtics, it is going to be a cause of Cat. But also, if things don't really work out, guess what? It's going to also be because of Cat. And I was like, not even necessarily just because of how I think it. I think that's how it's going to be shaken out as well, too. Because I was like, we've seen what mikalbridges could do after number 1. We've seen him as a third person. We've seen him. I was like, so he fits right in where he's at. I was like, so we've seen all these other people perform and like how they need to be. Man, that's a lot of P's to say. But Cat is like the one where we see, like, if he gives you what we always put on him, then it's almost like AD. If AD plays how we think that he can, where he could be an MVP type of person. That's basically what we got Cat in. And so, hey, it's going to be what it's seen. Now, like I said, I think it's going to work out for both sides or whatever. I think Randle's going to do really good in Minnesota or whatever. I don't know if they keep him necessarily, but I think he'll do good in Minnesota. I think he'll match up in a lot of ways with the West in the way. I was like, yeah. Anyway, good to be back. I was like, felt a little rusty there and trying to get my thoughts off on that. But anyway, let me know how you perceive this trade, which has already happened or whatever, but give me your thoughts anyway in that situation. And better yet, on that note, peace. I'm out.